Hello and welcome to Prairie Pulse. Joining me today is John Strand, the co-owner for the High Plains Reader and a member of the Fargo School Board. John, thanks so much for joining us today.
It's really an honor and a pleasure to be here today, John.
Well, we're great to have you here. And first off, let's tell the folks a little bit about yourself, where you're originally from, and a little bit of your background.
Well, I'm from a little tiny town named Crystal, North Dakota, which is up by, I tell people it's up by Hoople, Concrete, Garter, Union Mountain. It's really in the Park River, Grafton, Cavalier vicinity. So that's my hometown, and this is my third time in Fargo. I've been here 3 different times. I went to college here, moved away, came back and lived here in the 80s, moved away to New York State, and now I'm back with the newspaper, the High Plains Reader.
Well, but something keeps bringing you back.
It's like a boomerang.
Yeah, well, let's talk a little bit about how did you become a co-owner and I guess sales manager of the High Plains Reader?
Well, I grew up with newspapering. My mother was an editor of the Cavalier newspaper and worked in the Grafton newspapers. So I grew up around the smell of ink and around newspaper people. When I came back to Grafton for my second stint as editor of the newspaper there in the 90s, there were some college students who had started the High Plains Reader out of Grand Forks, and they were running it off the presses, and they were deciding to go to bigger, better things in life, and it was an opportunity, I felt, to take over a paper, to have one of our own, and to be part of it as an owner. So that's how it started. The paper was from Grand Forks, and then the flood hit. Right after we purchased it, my business partner, Raul Gomez, who's the publisher, and we were in Grand Forks. It was in Grand Forks, and then the '97 flood hit. Our office disappeared. The town was turned upside down, and we had no choice but to establish ourselves in Fargo as a base.
Okay, so you moved to Fargo, and when you say flood, I assume you're talking flood of '97.
The flood of '97, the big one, yeah.
Okay, and so obviously it brought you to Fargo. Talk a little bit then about the circulation and you know, what's your target audience?
Well, we're an entertainment alternative paper, and what I mean by alternative is we're editorially driven, but we're distributed for free. So we don't sell subscriptions like other newspapers do. Our target is Fargo, Moorhead, West Fargo now. We used to be in both towns, but we really couldn't do well in both towns, so we changed our focus a few years ago to Fargo and to this market, and we're the go-to source for what's going on. You want to know about a band or a concert or a play or something happening in the arts and entertainment community, an art opening, things like that. That's our niche. That's our turf. We want to tell people this is our culture here and what to do within our culture for fun, food, and entertainment.
Well, newspaper business models have really changed over the years. You know, how do you pay the bills? I mean, you ads, subscriptions you talked about. I mean, yeah, you don't do subscriptions, so.
That's a good question. We sell ads, and we sell our ads based on the model of high numbers of papers distributed. So we put out 12,000 papers a week. We estimate we have 30,000 readers a week. Believe it or not, it's the 5th highest circulated newspaper in North Dakota, and we're in our 19th year, so we're not brand new. But we sell ads. The question about this changing dynamics, you know, a lot of newspapers we've seen across the country have shifted and they're in different places than they were ever before. We've never really had national ads in our paper. We're always dealing with mom and pop ads. We never really had the real estate or car dealers as ads go. These have all shifted to the internet and classifieds. That's never been our niche. We've always been the type of a paper that tells you about Josie's Corner and Dempsey's and Bertros's and Hotel Donaldson and the Beefsteak Club and Thai Orchid and things. So these are mom and pop businesses that are our partners that we work with ongoingly and know them quite well. And our paper's it's always been free. So the model of a free distribution or free access to internet information through the internet isn't a threat to us because it's always been the nature of our game.
Okay, well, we may come back to some of that, but let's talk about some of the aspects of the paper. Understand, of course, you provide content for the paper. Can you talk about what kind of content and how you decide what subjects you're going to pick?
I'm kind of a jack of trades, John, but for years I was the editor. And not only co-owner, but an editor. And gosh, I don't know how many, with my Grafton years and with the High Plains Reader, I've written hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of editorials. So my heart is into positioning ourselves and challenging the people with opinions, and I would like to think for the greater public good. I'm from North Dakota, and I chose to move back to North Dakota, and a lot of people go through that in their own lives. But I love North Dakota, and I'm passionate about North Dakota and care a lot about North Dakota, even today more than ever before, with the changes going on in North Dakota and us staying on the high road. But I tend to write opinion pieces that make people think, that don't just criticize always, but offer solutions and ideas and create a discussion, stir up the debate, shake the tree, I guess is a way of saying it.
Okay, well, you do some of that, but then Ed Raymond, longtime contributor, with his column, and I know Ed likes to sort of stoke the fires a bit, so to speak.
We really respect Ed Raymond, and he's an anchor in our paper. It's no accident Ed Raymond, the gadfly, is at the front of the book, so to speak, in our newspaper. Young people, old people have a high regard for Ed. And Ed's a storyteller. He'll start you off and he'll take you someplace and take you someplace and take you someplace. Pretty soon you realize he's taking you full circle back to where he started. He's a former principal in Fargo schools for years. He also was a school board member in Fargo. He's got that experience under his belt. Ed was the face of the establishment for countless thousands of students going through the system, and now he's an unabashed liberal, and is unafraid of putting information out there, standing tall and proud of his views. He calls himself a former jarhead. He was a military Marine and a gunnery commander, or leader of a gunnery group, a platoon, or whatever they were. And his background is diverse. He's lived all over the world in different times and ways, through the military especially. And we take immense pride in Ed's presence and contribution to our audience.
Well, I understand, of course, you also have film reviews or DVD reviews. Can you talk about, I guess, Greg and Chris and their participation?
We have the two best film writers in the region in our paper. And Chris Jacobs up in Grand Forks, a little known thing is Chris has been in every single High Plains Reader since the very first issue in 1994 rolled off the press. He doesn't quit. At one time he even had an appendix burst, and even from his hospital room he had to write his column for the paper. Chris is the Grand Forks version of Greg Carlson, and Greg is as meticulous and precise and on target a film writer, reviewer, as exists anywhere in the country, and we happen to have access to him here in Fargo. He's over at Concordia, he's an instructor, and his passion is about film and the industry, as is Chris's. But we're really fortunate. That's a big part of what people do in the entertainment world is the movie industry, and it's an anchor for sure in the High Plains Reader, John.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So do you consider your paper to be an alternative to the Forum in terms of editorials and content?
Not by design necessarily in hard news coverage of government, but we are the other game in town. We call it the High Plains Reader, the little newspaper that could. And it hasn't been easy for any other newspaper to come onto the market and to survive. Lots have tried and maybe lasted a year or two or three. We're survivors and in the game for the long haul, but we certainly aren't as big and don't have the wherewithal of Forum Communications, which owns not just newspapers, especially in Minnesota and also North Dakota, but television and radio, and there's a lot of momentum with a new news organization of that caliber that's also perceived as the state's paper. But on the other hand, the High Plains Reader is a voice of the people. We're not establishment type. Not that there's anything always wrong at all with the establishment, but we're not an establishment type paper. We tend to focus on the underdog, give voice to people who may not have that voice otherwise. We focus on issues that might not be so commonly focused on in family type media organizations. We challenge our people and our readers and the people of the state to open their minds and their horizons to get with it sometimes with the changes going on in the world, without like being doing a preachy sort of way. But so we are the other paper, and we're really proud to be the other paper in town here in Fargo.
Well, you talked about promoting the art scene in the area. Can you kind of talk more about that and why you think it's important to promote that?
Well, for example, Johnny Lang was on the cover of the High Plains Reader when he was age 12. Not long ago, earlier this month, Shannon Kerfman came home and played at the Fargo Dome with Kid Rock. And she was on the cover of the High Plains Reader when she was 14, I believe. Both of them have been on the cover of our paper numerous times. Brenda Weiler, before she went out and signed up with labels and was out in Portland, she was a staple person, musician, artist that we covered. Those are just some examples. We have as a community, we all know we invest an immense amount in athletics. Not that that's not, it's good, but we don't always recognize the other talents in town, like the musicians and the artists. And we take pride in being the first to discover musicians and artists. The first, as often as we can, the first to let people know this is what you have in our community, in this individual or in this band or in this group. Even our editor, Diane Miller, is a stalwart, great musician in town, and a female rapper even. So it's what we do. We partner with the Rourke over in Moorhead. We partner with with the Plains Art Museum. We partner with the stage, the FMCT groups and the theater groups. We don't just cover them and sell them ads. We partner with them in ways that we're helping each other, and we're all part of this together.
Okay. Well, of course, we've been talking about sort of the newspaper and the print part of it. What about the web component? Do you have one, and what is that? What do you do there?
We do. We have 3,000 to 5,000 people a week go to our hpr1.com website, and it's always been just a value added. We put our information out there for free. It allows people to access it when they're out of town or in other parts of the country or world. It's an adjunct to what we do. It's not separate content, but it's the same content. And of course, our calendar of events is also online. So if people want to know what's going on, boom, they got it right there.
Well, with all this said, how many employees, staff, or contributors, when you count them all up, do you have working on the paper?
Not as many as you might think. We have 2 full-time owners. We have 1 full-time sales guy, Jay Miller, who's like the tallest salesman in town. I think he's 6'9", and in his 6th year with us. We have Diane Miller as our editor. We have a lot of stringers and contributors like Ed Raymond and Greg Carlson and Chris Jacobs and folks like that are staple anchor parts of our paper. We have a team of delivery people that every Thursday go out and cover the town and put out the 12,000 papers. But that's the heart of our organization, and we have a lot of folks who come and go in a moment-by-moment basis, where they might write a letter to the editor, an opinion piece, or contribute in another way. But they're our extended family, so to speak.
Well, I asked you about the web just a minute ago. So where do you see the future of newspapers going? Considering a lot of people, web has definitely hurt newspaper business model with classified ads and things in the past. So what is the future for newspapers in your opinion?
It's a good question, and our newspaper, believe it or not, was one of the first in the country to find a creative way to bridge print to the digital world with QR codes, quick response codes. We were doing this before anybody anywhere was doing this. That's because Raul Gomez, our co-owner, is a total geek and into this stuff. But so there's ways they complement each other. Even Facebook, we use Facebook immensely. We have 4,000 plus people on Facebook following us, but we drive people to our content. We tease people with information about our content. We give them access to our content digitally as well. So we don't look at the web as a threat as much as it is an ancillary additional promotional vehicle that drives people to know when our paper's out, to know what the cover is, to go pick it up because they want to read about the UND Writers Conference this week and they know it's in the High Plains Reader, things like that.
John, some have described you in the community as an activist or watchdog. Is that accurate and fair?
It absolutely is accurate and fair. Journalistically, the job of media is to be the fourth estate. Our job is to report to the people what the government is doing on their behalf. You're by nature a watchdog. My other personal nature, and this maybe comes from my other backgrounds with my mother, who, for example, who was one of the first female mayors in North Dakota, I believe the only woman editor in the state when I was a kid growing up. So I'm not afraid of activism and taking on causes and standing up on my chair, sometimes knowing that others may join or may not, but you still have issues you feel passionately about, and I'd rather stand up for them than avoid them.
Okay. Real quick, the goals for the Reader for the next few years?
The goal for the Reader is on task, to stay on our horse, to be the best paper we can be, to be a paper for the people, to have that respect and regard in the community, that we're legitimate and that we're here to stay, and that we're here for them. We're their paper.
Okay. Well, let's switch gears here. I've been talking about the High Plains Reader now for about 10 or 12 minutes or so. Let's talk about your activity as the Fargo School Board member. There's some long-range planning going on right now. Can you tell us what all that entails?
I can. I'm chairman of the Long Range Facilities Planning Committee. And the long story really short, in 2002, the district had embarked upon the creation of a long-range plan, which culminated with the construction of Davies, the third high school in town, and some other key shifts over that 10-year time. A good portion of the community public engagement 10 years ago was to decide some foundational principles or standards or goals for the district, and this is Fargo School District number 1. It's the oldest established school district in the state, and some of the things that came out of that were the idea of having middle schools instead of junior highs, have equal high schools of 4 grades. So instead of Fargo South being 2,000 students and Fargo North 1,000, now we have 3 somewhat equally sized high schools. To have K through 5 combined in schools across the district. Those are guiding principles that we still adhere to today, but we need a plan. We have a significantly changing demographic in town. We have Fargo growing way south. We have the established north side community, and it used to be Fargo was only the north side, so to speak, but now what used to be all of Fargo is now the north side. So we have some planning to do, and we've begun now last week with the creation of a task force in the community, which is the citizens, where we've literally passed the baton to the people. And there's 27 citizens from across the whole Fargo district, parents and leaders and business people and senior citizens, folks like that. But they're at the table, rolling up their sleeves, taking the data, the demographics, the populations, the trends, the costs, the finances, the educational result, all this information, and they're working on contriving or creating for us the new vision that we will follow going into the next 5 to 10 years.
With that said, then, do you anticipate having to build another elementary school in South Fargo due to overcrowding at Kennedy Elementary there?
Well, Kennedy, the focal point of the bursting at the seams growth in South Fargo, and the reality is we can't have a school that's the size of a high school, an elementary school. We have no choice with the growth coming in South Fargo to take care of the people living down there, who are moving down there and will continue to move down there. So it's inevitable that we will have a new elementary school at least sometime soon in South Fargo, and more coming in the future. Our projections are for a growth of 200 students per year into the next 5+ years. Well, that's every 2.5 years, a new elementary school. and because they're mostly kids. So there's changes coming our way, but finding a balance and respecting the north side schools, the neighborhood schools, the old historic buildings, while still growing in South Fargo is an issue of for all of us to get our arms around.
Well, and obviously with growth means you have to reestablish boundary lines. So will they be redrawn again in the future?
They more than likely will, John, and what they will do as they work through this process, and we hope we have this done by fall. We hope to have the Kennedy Elementary School solutions by mid to late April, because that's impending and the parents need to know what they're doing for their kids for next fall. But we have these things unfolding, and then once we know the scenarios of do we build or do we not build, or what do they recommend doing and in what time fashions, then they will also look at boundaries and redistricting to fit in with the vision of the components of the new plan. So there will be some changes coming, and I hope it's for the good of the people living in every part of town.
Yeah, but it's got to be a tough thing, because you got to take in a lot of considerations. What factors do you really have? Because parents, some parents, I assume, aren't happy about having to change schools, depending on especially where their children are in the grades, I guess.
It's a really passionate issue for folks, and it's their issue. They move to town often to be near a school, to have walking distance capability to their elementary school, to be in a neighborhood with up in North Side where they have more, in their minds, a perceived smaller class setting, smaller schools, not as many kids, with more one-on-one attention and so on. So it's a real passionate issue for everybody. And what we do share is we all want a good educational result. We all have that in common, that goal of giving every kid every day in every way the best educational experience they can get, and that's the driving force for all of us, and we'll get there.
Mm-hmm. How about neighborhoods, older schools like Clara Barton? I mean, that area seems to be pretty adamant about keeping their schools. What about that issue?
We have two sets of paired schools. We have Clara Barton and Hawthorne, and we have Roosevelt and Horace Mann in North Fargo, where we have K through 5 split into two different campuses in the same vicinity. I won't predict. A ground rule we all have is we don't know where we're going to land, because we're going to let the people and the experts do their work and compare all alternatives and options before we really know the end result. But I think it's safe to say that whatever happens in North Fargo will be following the urgency of what we do in South Fargo. We have to deal with the growing population down there. That's paramount right now. And the truth is, there's a lot of support for the neighborhood schools, and there is in the district too. That's a guiding principle, to recognize the neighborhood schools. So I don't know that I will predict any significant changes coming or not. Of course, they look at facilities and they look at footprints and they look at staffs, but that's the reality of whether we consolidate or close or repurpose. That's something they will work on, and I won't anticipate dramatic changes anytime soon.
Well, talk briefly about the transition of adding Davies High School, and what kind of facility is that there?
I tell people the way you spell Davies is OPPORTUNITY. It's opportunity. We already have teams in drama and theater and arts where kids are getting more opportunity. Kids are getting a chance to do things that they may not have had the same chance when it was a behemoth-sized school like Fargo South was at, and it's the part of town where people are growing to. Even though some wonder why you're going way out there, and this preceded me on the board, but it will have been foresightful down the road that we have a third high school and have split the demographics and sizes, and kids have way more opportunity.
Well, John, we are running out of time, but are there other challenges that you can talk about currently facing the district in your mind?
John, we all know North Dakota is pretty wealthy with oil taxes, incomes, and revenues, but we also have a need at the district here. By 2015, we need to go to the people for a vote of support to continue at what we call an excess mill levy level. where we're above the statutorily allowed mill levy. And we need the support of the people to continue forward, delivering the best educational result that we can. We'll really need their support.
Well, John, if people want more information about the Fargo School District, where's the best place for them to go?
Go to the Fargo School website, and they can find access to the district or to us school board members, or for this public information warehouse for all of the information and data and studies and reports and minutes about the facilities planning. It's all there. As is our contact information, our cell number, our email. Happy to hear from people.
Well, 15 seconds here. Why is it great to live in Fargo and North Dakota?
We're the luckiest people on the planet. We have decent people who are trusting, good souls, and their hearts are in the right place. And I just couldn't imagine living anyplace else.
And the last question would be, going back to High Plains Reader, if people want more information about that, where can they go?
HPR1.com, and you'll find me there too.
John, thanks so much for joining us today.
It's a real pleasure.
Well, that's all we have on Prairie Pulse this week. And as always, thanks for watching.